Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. When you happen to come across this video, this is Giants Amongst Us. This is a place where we share in the unique human experience, and it's where you're going to hear real stories that are told by real people, people just like yourself. We're not into the Hollywood squares. We're not trying to keep up with the Kardashians. We don't care about the latest and greatest juicy gossip. That's not what we're about here. If you've listened to the show before, you know that I share connections with people from all walks of life. We talk about the trials, we talk about the tribulations, the ups, the downs, the shakes, the breaks, but also that turning moment when things flipped around, when someone started to take accountability and responsibility for their life's experiences, for their livelihood, and create new realities. So we're about growth, we're about transcending struggles, we're about celebrating successes, and we're about doing the damn thing. I wanted to make a video today because I've been revisiting an old book, a book I'm sure many people have heard about before, The Four Agreements, a practical guide, Toltec Book of Wisdom by Don Miguel Ruiz. Real easy read. It only has about 138 pages, but I said I'm revisiting it because I've read this book before, and I found it in a thrift shop when we were back in California visiting family, and it was only for $4. So I decided to pick it up. For me, it's a steal. I love reading. And it's nothing like still having a physical copy. And one thing in particular that stood out and I just wanted to share, because what I stress on the show is taking accountability and responsibility for oneself. I think that's important because we can fall into a reality-based victimhood, reality-based type of dream that we're experiencing. And I say dream only because what I'm going to speak about is the way he opens up the book and he talks about the domestication, our domestication as free human beings. We're born into this world free. If you look at a child and the movements, the curiosity, the naive way of looking at the world, everything is open, everything is brand new, everything is fresh, but they freely move. They're not concerned about someone's opinions. They're not concerned about someone's perception, their view, their judgments. They're just in the moment, present and living. But throughout time, throughout our years, from a child on through adolescence and adulthood, we're told how to behave, what's right, what's wrong, what to believe, what not to believe, what we can't do, what we can do, how we should live, how we shouldn't. This is our domestication, slowly but surely, through family, mother, father, brothers, sisters, siblings, the schools, religion, tradition, cultures, government, society, pretty much at large. Little by little, start chipping away at that wild, free spirit that we have from birth. I pulled it up too. It was an old photo. It's a photo of a baby, and it has like a barcode across the forehead, and it says something to the extent of, at birth, we're given an identity, a personality, a religion, a name, a language, a culture, and we spend our whole life defending that identity that was given to us from birth. And so what Don Miguel Ruiz, what he talks about in our domestication of the dream of the planet is the fact that, or what he alludes to, something to consider, is that before we were born, everything is given to us, it's laid down, it's written, and it's explained to us. Like I said, how we should live, what we can do, what we can't do, what we're capable of, what we're not capable of, what to believe in, what's true, what's false, what's right, what's wrong. This is the way things are, and that's been passed down to maybe our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents from prior generations. And all of this may come from a place of fear, may come from a place of love, it may come from a place of truth, or it may come from a place of falsehoods. We don't know. When we're born, as we grow up, we start to accept these truths. We don't have the ability to voice our concerns. We don't have the ability to disagree. We do as we're told. We do as we're told. And like a wild animal, like training a dog, breaking a horse, you break them into submission. When you join certain groups or the military, they strip you of your identity, they break you down into submission, and then they build you back up into that person they want you to be, into that soldier they want you to be. And so with these rules, these regulations, these policies, these customs, these traditions, we accept them as truths. When we're young, we hold on to them. And a lot of times we don't question them. Maybe at times there's something in us that feels this isn't right. I don't like this. I don't agree with this. But like that wild animal, when you're training a dog, or like I said, you're breaking a horse into submission, those behaviors and the way that you condition them, it's really just based off of a rewards and punishment system. So we start to learn what's going to get the attention, what's going to get the approval, what's going to get the acceptance of our parents, our family members, the teachers, the priests, whoever it is. What's going to get their attention, their approval, their support, their love. We do that. And when we do something wrong, we know we're punished. We're put in a corner. We're told we can't go outside. We're told by teachers you have to stay after class, or you can't go out and play for recess. And then that just carries on into your adult years. You're fired from a job. You're not accepted into society. You're thrown into a cage and locked away, put into isolation. Sometimes for reasons maybe that are justified. Other times, I'll leave that for you to be the judge of. So we start to, based on this system, this rewards and punishment system, we start to create this ideal image, or this perfect image of the way we should live in order to get the acceptance and gain the attention of people around us, those whom we feel are important to us. Who doesn't want acceptance? Who doesn't want love? Who doesn't want approval? And that's a lot of times why we do things that we normally wouldn't do, just so we could get the acceptance and approval of somebody else. So we have this perfect image that we try to live up to, because this is society's standards that were set from a child, from before we even came into this earth. And because that isn't realistic. We can never live up to that image. It's something that we created from the standards in the conditions of a society that we're a part of a culture that we're a part of a world and a planet that we're a part of. And because we never live up to that, there's always this inner conflict inside of us. He speaks about Mr. Don Miguel Ruiz. You have this personality that we create, and within us we have this judge, we have this victim, and it's based on this belief system that has been created before us. It's been written and passed on to us, and we've agreed upon it for the most part and took that as absolute truths. And yes, this is the way we should walk that line and live our lives. Don't go outside the box too far. It's scary on the other end. Don't you dare break pattern. That old movie, The Village, it's a long movie, but I do remember, and it's so relevant to today, but part of the whole storyline was the fact that these people were living behind this wall, and they were living as if times were old, ancient. I don't remember the whole juicy details of the movie, but I do remember that there was a group of people, a society that was living behind these walls, and they were living as if times were, way back when. It wasn't modern times, and they were always told that you can't go past this wood line, or you can't go past these trees because there's these monsters that are going to get you. There's these beasts out there, and you don't want to try them. And these beasts and these monsters were really people that were dressed up in costumes, and anytime anybody had the juice, the nuts, the balls, the courage to step past and try to see what's out there, these men in costumes would devour them up. And so they were made examples, and so fear kept them inside. Fear, the fear factor, to keep you in line. Only to find out later on in the movie, spoiler alert, it's an old movie. I don't know who hasn't seen it, but in case you're curious about this movie that I'm speaking about in particular, The Village. So what happens is there is a couple, some youngsters that end up pushing the line. They make it past those boogeymen in costumes and outfits, and they make it over the wall, only to find out that past the wall, these people are living in modern times. It's modern society. There's cars moving around, and they were, what's this? So this whole time, they've been trapped behind the wall, living a certain way, not conscious, oblivious to the fact that there's a whole other world and advancement in society and technology where cars with wheels spin, and automobiles and police officers and uniforms and everything, modern times, the 20th century, 21st century, that they had no idea about because they were told this whole time that don't go past those walls. There's monsters that are going to get you, but it's just that they didn't want anybody to leave that bubble. They wanted to keep them locked in tight. Clip the wings of a bird or put it in a cage. It can't fly anymore. So with that rant, what I was saying was, man, how much of what has been passed on to us comes from a place of truth and love, and how much of it from fear? That's something to consider. The things that we do. This ideal image, when I was talking about this perfect ideal image that we've created and we never seem to live up to because it's not realistic. We're trying to be somebody else just so we can get the approval of friends, of family, of our colleagues, of our employer, whoever it is. And now with social media, you want to get likes, you want to get subscribers, you want to get listeners. So you're doing things to appease the algorithms and follow whatever's trending. What is popular right now? What do the people want? I'm going to do that. But is it what you really want? Is it what you really believe in? Is it your truth? Or you're doing it just to appease the crowd? You don't want to stir the pot, so you watch what you say. You can't express yourself freely because you don't want to get censored or you don't want to ruffle any feathers. But if it's coming from a place of honesty, if it's coming from a place of curiosity, even love and empathy and understanding, why should it offend somebody? That's for them to deal with. I'm not saying you can just say any old thing, because words do have power, and they do pack a punch. They can hurt. But I digress. Where I was getting at with this was this image that we create, this personality, and because of that, there's something inside of us that starts to happen. We have a judge, we have a victim, and it's based off of this belief system that's already been put before us and we've accepted as truth. This judge inside of us, I know him well. I'm sure a lot of you know him well too. This judge that critiques us, that ridicules us, that chastises us, that blames us for every time we don't live up to that standard, every time we miss the mark, every time we do something wrong. And in that victim inside of us that is always in shame, in guilt, regretful, worried, in fear, always being put down and put in his place. Constantly feeling the shame, the regret, the guilt of messing up, of stumbling, of going back to something, of doing something wrong, of not living up to that standard. And he mentions, we always talk about justice in a just world. If justice was served, what's justice? If somebody does wrong one time and they're punished for that crime, but not to continually punish someone for one thing that they done in their life, one mistake. Now, within us, that judge and victim, how many times do we constantly go over something that we've done in our life? I'm guilty of this. We've done in our life. We've done wrong. We've messed up. We've wronged somebody. We've wronged ourselves. Whatever it is, you fill in the blank. And how many times do we constantly blame ourselves for this over and over every day, living through that torment, that anguish, that disgust, that shame, that guilt? We do this to ourselves constantly, day in, day out. I've done this to myself day in, day out, always in the past, regretful, remorseful. For one thing, maybe two things. We constantly do this. We can't move forward. We can't even enjoy the moment at hand because we're stuck in the past. And then we have our neighbor or a friend or a family member blaming us for that. And so we can't pick up the pieces and carry on because we're so stuck in the past. So we have this judge, we have this victim, and it's based off of this belief system, this idealistic image that we've created based off of society standards, their regulations, their rules, their rules of conduct of what is accepted and what isn't accepted. Not to say any of it is wrong, but I'm saying once again, and he mentions it plenty of times in the book, how much of this comes from truth and love and how much based out of fear. This fear, this dream that has been created, this dream of the planet, which is broken down into smaller dreams that consist of personal dreams, the dreams of society, the dreams of religion, the dreams of family, the dreams of a city, the dreams of a country, the dreams of humanity. And this is the dream we're a part of. And in that dream, because of this guilt and the shame and us trying to live up and appease the world around us based off of this reward system, trying to gain acceptance, trying to gain approval, trying to gain love and support, and acting a certain way based off of what we've been taught is accepted and approved, and not wanting to be the outcast, even if it means expressing yourself in a genuine way, even if it means being true to yourself. But we've been tamed, we've been domesticated, and in that, the Bible speaks of hell. A lot of religions speak of hell. And like he says, hell is right now. Hell is a state of mind. Hell is within us. You look around, a lot of people are living in hell. They're burning with these emotions that are based in fear and anguish and inescapable torments and anguish within that burning fire inside us that eats us up and torments us. That hatred, that jealousy, that envy, that hate, that fear inside of us that's burning, eating us up alive. Hell is right now. But the good news is, he also offers ways that we can start to break those agreements that have been set and placed and given to us from people of the past who may have not meant us any harm, but they didn't know any better. They were only giving and telling to us what has been given and told to them. But like generational curses, like addictions, family addictions, those type of things can be broken. The good news is now we have a choice to dream a new dream, create a new reality, and to break old agreements and start to make new agreements. Agreements that align with our true nature. So just taking into consideration how we act, what we accept, what we do, when we're afraid, when our body speaks to us, when we react a certain way, where does it come from? Is this coming from a place of love? Where was I taught this? Who told me this? Who told me I can't do that, or I can only do this, or I'm not capable of that, or I'm too stupid to learn a new trade? I'm lazy. I'm ugly. I'm fat. This is just the way it is. I'm a slug, or I'm a lush, or I'm just a drunk, or I'm an addict. I'm a no good. Who told me that? Where does it come from? Is it true? So these are just a few things to consider. Old book, the 4 agreements, with some practical steps to just try to get back to the core of who you really are, that free, creative, loving, good human being. This is about embracing being human. This is about exploring human nature. We're still embracing what it is to be human in an age where things are, I always say this, but I feel like it's just something to be emphasized in an age where they're trying to take our humanity away. You know, if it's not a conspiracy theory. The age of transhumanism, where they want to combine human and man, human and machine, but this is about getting back to our human nature. This is about exploring and embracing nature, living in collaboration with nature, because we're capable of doing great things, of experiencing and enjoying life in its utmost. And so this is just a little something that I wanted to share, the domestication of that wild beast that we are, if you want to call us a beast, that walks upright. To be able to love, to be able to enjoy, to be able to create, to be able to be curious, to be able to connect, build, understand, dialogue, and grow together. The 4 agreements. And being free, truly free. So, little something from me to you. Let me know how you feel. If you read the book, if anything stood out to you with you read. I'm sorry for some of the rants. I just wanted to share a little bit of my heart and what I've been chewing on. The type of pages I've been chewing on right now. A Toltec wisdom, a book. You know, take everything with a grain of salt. What's the word? Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see, just meaning to be critical about the information that you receive in this age of information where our attention is the economy. They're after our attention. So anybody or anything that is asking for your attention, just think, reflect. What is this person getting out of it? What do they want? Is this good for me? Is it not good for me? Just, think things through. Trust yourself, trust your gut, get back to self, treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. We're going to catch up and do this again real soon. Till next time, peace.